Hey again, it's Crackpot Ministry. What's up? My name is Dan Nix. We're getting started on the book of Judges, and again, this is a book I never finished all the way before. I'm not part of any kind of seminary, kind of Bible college or anything, so if you feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, well, feel that way and study it your own way, and you do your own thing. But I'm just going to tell you some things that I noticed about reading the Word and studying myself. I'm not, in Judges right now, I'm not going to get out every little story, and I noticed in the book of Joshua on some things, I kind of left out some things about the sun standing still for about a day, and that's been discovered by science and everything, that is a major possibility and major evidence for that in a specific battle at, I believe it was Ai in Bethel, but not sure. Anyway, moving on. Book of Judges. The main point I want you to get out in the first chapter is Israel did not destroy all the nations as they were told to. If you want some, they were commanded to destroy all the nations in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 2 through 4. And they were also commanded in Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 16 through 20. They were supposed to destroy all the nations. This did not happen, and this caused a lot of trouble for them, and you will see that in chapter 2. In chapter 2, they began to worship false gods, serving the idols. You remember at the end of Joshua, I was telling you a lot about Baal, and if I'm not mistaken, Baalim, that B-A-A-L-I-M, that may be a specific god, but I think it would be a plural pronunciation of the word Baal, meaning many of the gods of the god of Baal. But you would have to double check me on that. So they started serving all these gods. You know, did they offer children as sacrifices? Well, it says they started serving the gods. Could be speculation there. That stuff could have happened. That's what was happening with these idols and with these gods, and they were doing wicked things, and the angel of the Lord, you know, getting hot against them. So God raises up judges, and find out the Israelites really didn't hearken to the voices of the judges, and as soon as the judge died, they went back to their old ways. If you remember in Joshua chapter 24, Joshua says, "Are you going to serve the Lord?" And the Israelites, "Yeah, we're going to serve the Lord. You know, we'll serve Him all our days," and all this stuff. Folks, I've learned pretty quick the lesson today is something I need to work on, and it was definitely meant for me. Because how many times do we just give lip service to God? Or we make the promises to God and promises to other people that we do not keep? Or how many times we go to a church event where we're surrounded by Christians who believe like us and everything like that, and then we get around people who don't serve the God we serve, or maybe they do but believe a little differently and stuff like that, and we get all caught up and mixed up. See, there's a simple verse about this, and it's Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And so many people can recite it, memorize it, but do we understand it and do we live it? In the book of James, James says, don't be a hearer of the word, but don't just be a hearer of the word, but also be a doer of the word of God. And that's something we need to stress a lot. In Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, don't conform to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove to man the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. And I kind of quoted that a little bit different in Dan Nix's translation, and I just went with it. But they were conforming to the world. They were conforming to the nations around them that God had already told them to destroy, and they shouldn't have to be worried about these things. God knows the things that separate us, what separates us between Him and us. So, am I telling you to destroy the nations? Well, my friend, there's not a nation that separates us from God, because we found out through the cross of Calvary that we can be connected to God through the Spirit. We don't have to send a Moses up to the mountain or anything like that, but we can ask God to come and live within us, and we can have peace with nations and men around us, and we don't have to go to war and all this kinds of stuff. But it was a different covenant back then and a different culture, but it was still the same God and still the same Yahweh that wants to show love and wants to show mercy. So this is what but the main thing I just wanted to stress: don't just give lip service. Talking about, well, we won't serve these gods, and just over in the next book over, they start serving gods. In chapter 2, I want you to take a quick look at verse 13, and it says, "And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth, which Ashtaroth would be, that's the wife of Baal, the goddess." So it says they forsook the Lord, and so many arguments. Well, does God forsake us? God will never leave us, forsake us stuff. I just want to tell you this. The thing is, I'm not worried about God forsaking me. That's the least of my worries. The main thing I got to worry about is that I don't want to forsake the Lord, and that's the thing I worry about. And I have to visit the cross daily, and I have to think about the cross, and I ask every day. I said, God, please live in me today, just as you lived in me yesterday. And God, please, forgive me of all my sins that I've committed, and I restore my relationship with God. And Paul says in the New Testament, I die daily, and that's something. I have to put my evil ways and my bad ways of not wanting to show mercy, but wanting to show vengeance and things like that. I have to put that aside and remember it. Jesus died on the cross for me, and those sins can be forgiven. So I'm glad you joined me today in the study of Joshua chapter 1 and chapter 2. It wasn't too intense or too deep, but it was something simple that I think we really needed to learn. I didn't want to get too deep in it, because I just wanted to stress the main points of don't just give lip service to God and then go off it and do other things and forget about God and forsake Him. Thank you.